My name is Stefan Bojic. I'm coming from Serbia and now I'm 30 years old. I play now freestyle tennis and that's my specialty at the moment. When I started it all, when I started to do it, I used to refer to it as elementary techniques, which still kept it as part of the project, and my whole idea was that this is something that should be elementary for coming inside of tennis. After that, it sort of transitioned to the courts itself, because a lot of people were asking me like, oh, but can you play tennis? This is the most common question I was getting all the time. So I said, okay, let me show you what I can do on the court. So then I started making these videos which were mostly trick shot based. So in terms of freestyle, I think it's still not defined or ever will be, but most simply to answer would be sort of an exploration what can be possible to be done with the racket and the ball. It bothered me in a way that my friends who are basketball players or football players can do stuff off the court and sort of improve and sort of practice all the time, but for tennis you had to book a court and you had to have a coach almost and balls, and this wasn't very accessible in Serbia at the time. So I think that's where the idea originated. I do think it's a continuation of all these freestyle sports, and I do think it's an extension of maybe the whole hip-hop culture, but really different influences from different periods of my life I think brought up to this idea. And in regards to friends, for example, very important ones were surrealism. When I was young, was very interesting to me as an art movement, and later on parkour. Just the philosophy behind it was something that was very inspirational to me. David Bell would be one. He's the sort of originator of parkour in a way. Then Rodney Mullen from skateboarding is one of the pioneers of skateboarding. Was a big deal to me. Like the whole end one movement in basketball, if you remember, end one was like street ball guys, and but it was different than Harlem Globetrotters, you know, and that's something I also draw from a lot. It's not just for me about entertainment and entertaining factor. I try to make it athletic. I try to keep it physical, which I think end one guys did. So that's a high standard for me. Then Joga Bonito, if you remember, the Brazilian style of football with Ronaldinho, Travis Pastrana with the motorcycles. I mean, anyone that sort of introduced the revolution in their sport, for me, is one of the heroes when it comes to sports. So it's not even results-wise as much as what did that person do for that sport. That's how I look at it. It comes down to really coordination, you know, your motor control of the body, and also creativity, obviously. More so maybe than performing results, which come after in these sports that somehow become sports and become competitive, and then people figure it out and maybe even go to extreme. So they really have a superior, it's called motor control. So their control over their body, over their muscles is incredible. And also their ability to go inside a certain field and just you know, break into new worlds and open up for everyone. It's still very, very young. The interest of the big brands and of tournaments and the more and more interest that it's gaining, it just shows that there is something there. How we're gonna explore that is really, you know, up for grabs. It's not defined yet. So the funny thing is that that's gonna define what freestyle tennis is, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. The performance side, even myself, I haven't mastered that because yet there hasn't been a demand for it. So for me, it's very difficult to try to practice that every day without the platform. With the next generations, I think there is so much potential there, you know, like with creating a team and with creating things like that where they can feed off each other. I do think then it can become freestyle tennis, because I still don't, it's funny for me to observe it as a thing, you know.